Hello everyone and welcome back to Quick Revise. Today we are going to be talking about resources, and this is a chapter from grade 8 social science geography. Okay, so let's start with today's lesson from Quick Revise. Resources. Definition of resources are anything that can be used to satisfy a need is a resource. If you take any object that is useful to you, if you take for example, if you take a pen, what does a pen satisfy? The pen satisfies the need of writing. If you take any object, then you can figure out what need it satisfies. If you take a fan, what need does that satisfy? It satisfies the need of cooling. If you take a computer, what need does it satisfies? Many needs like typing, counting, uh, sending, contacting, many needs. Okay. All resources have use slash utility. Usability or utility is what makes a substance a resource. So any resource, any substance that has a utility or usability, or you can use it, is what makes it a resource. Value. Value means worth. Some resources have economic value and some have sentimental value, but both satisfy human needs. Some resources can gain importance slash economic value with time. So what this talks about here is that some resources are not satisfying like physical needs. They satisfy emotional, spiritual needs, such as if you look at a scenery, very beautiful scenery, then it satisfies the need of, of looking at a great view, or feeling peaceful or calm. If you go in a forest which is very quiet and you just have a lot of time to relax there, it satisfies the need of being with yourself, calming yourself. Some resources gain importance slash economic value with time, so some resources gain value with time. So for example, if you I'm giving the same example as used in the ncrt. If your grandmother has a achar recipe, and that recipe has been carried on for generations, but it only is used at home, then that resource is already satisfying her. matlab, वो like the achar. In the achar is made with pickles. The pickles itself does not satisfy any need for you in that specific moment, but once you use it with time, once your grandmother makes the achar, then the substance will be usable, will have a utility, and thus will become a resource. Time and technology are two important factors that can change substances into resources. If you take, for example, an iron ore itself has no use. You can do nothing with iron ore. But with technology such as smelting, refining, mining, and that takes time. So with these two factors, iron ore becomes iron, which is very useful to us. There are three types of resources: natural, human, and human made. Natural resources, resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modification, are called natural resources. Some examples are wind resource, solar resource, and water resource. These are directly from nature, and we are not doing anything to modify them or using them, or and you know further use or further how do you say further improving it. We are just taking the raw resource. Human resource, humans knowledge and skills make them an important resource that can turn a physical material into a valuable resource. Example: the knowledge of a person, of the knowledge of a person on a certain topic. So for example, this resource can be is very important. In fact all human made resources come from human resources. Human resources can be expertise. For example, if you are a carpenter, then you know better than a lot of people, and your knowledge on how to on woodworking and how to fix something is a resource for people because it satisfies a need and it can be used. Human made resources are those resources which use natural resources and modify them, very important, and modify them to make them a resource. iron ore was not a resource until we were able to extract iron out of it. So what same thing that I'm trying to say here, human made resources have are basically natural resources. They have just been modified by us, and that is why they thus become human made resources. We modify them and turn them into something that we can use. Renewable resources. Renewable resources are those which replenish quickly. Some are not affected by human activities like wind and solar, but careless use of some renewable resources can affect their stock like water. Now, water we have a lot of 70% of all water is 70% of the earth is water, but as we see in many places, the un the careless and unthinking use of water can lead to water shortages like we see in many places such as Cape Town, and all of these places face a shortage of water which is supposed to be a renewable resource, but because of careless use they have run out of water. Non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources are those which have a limited stock, and once exhausted it can take thousands of years to replenish. Since this is more than a human lifespan, it is called non-renewable. Example, coal and petroleum. So non-renewable resources are resources since the once you exhaust that resource or you finish that resource, then to get that resource back it will take hundreds thousands of years, and sometimes it's a limited stock only and you can't get it back. So since the time taken is much more than a human lifespan, we call these resources non-renewable resources. Distribution of natural resources. Distribution of these resources is unequal as it depends on climate, terrain, and altitude. These factors differ so much across Earth and thus is uneven and unequal. So a lot of natural resources are unequally spread because they rely on factors like climate, terrain, altitude, and these vary all across Earth. So, for example, ores like iron or like jewels like diamonds, rubies, emeralds. These places are found in certain places and are not found anywhere in the earth. So thus this is uneven and unequal. Resource conservation, using resources carefully and giving them time to regenerate slash replenish, is called resource conservation. So conserving resources with and giving them time to regenerate, like if you cut down a forest and you if you cut down a forest, then a lot of people practice this and a lot of companies practice this, where they once they cut down a forest they plant new seeds in a different place, so the forest quantity does not go down. And sustainable development is balancing the need to use resources and also conserve them for the future. So for example, like right now, uh, we are using we are using many resources such as water and other basic needs such as clean air. We are using overusing them and polluting them, and we are not conserving them for the future. So what we are doing is unsustainable development, but sustainable development is like using water limitedly so that generations after us, thousands of years after us, the people still have water and clean air, water, shelter, and all these basic necessities. Okay, that is basically it for this chapter. I hope you learned something, and hope you come back for the next video next week.